If any founder in a business space as big as drone delivery didn't have a plan to go public, I would say there's something wrong with their heads. There's 5 billion food deliveries a year just from the top 4 delivery companies. So DoorDash, Uber Eats, Just Eat, Delivery Hero. 5 billion growing at 15%. And it's an absolutely gigantic market that is underserved. We can impact every single suburban household on the planet and have a meaningful and frequent relationship with that household.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Leaders. Today I am joined by the CEO of Manna Drone Delivery, Bobby Healy. Bobby, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Sam. How are you?
Yeah, very well. It's great to have you with us today. Where are you logging in from today?
Sunny Dublin, Ireland. Sunny, rainy, miserable, windy Ireland.
Yeah, I think all of us in the UK are experiencing that as well with the storm. Bobby, before we get into a little bit about Manna, can you talk to us a little bit about your journey that has got you to where you are now? I know you started building video games and travel logistic companies before founding the company. So can you talk to us a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm an engineer, programmer by trade, and I've been building companies for over 30 years. This is the 5th company that I've started up. Started writing video games for some of the bigger labels, Nintendo, and a bunch of movie titles. Lovely work, great, the best technical work I've ever done. And then I spent 25 plus years building travel technology companies, most recently Car Trawler. And that's taken me then for various different reasons into drone delivery, which is probably the hardest business I've ever started and certainly the most enjoyable and the biggest target addressable market that we've ever looked at as a team.
Yeah, I was having a quick look at your Twitter earlier. I saw you're a big skier. Were you ever tempted to create a skiing video game at one point?
It's funny. I wrote a game called Running Man for the Arnold
Wow.
Schwarzenegger movie, and that had a bobsled in it. If anyone remembers, it was all centered around a game show called Running Man, and one of the things with this bobsled and part of the game on the Nintendo version, actually, and the Spectrum version, had a bobsled scene, and that's as close as I've gotten
Wow.
to a ski game. And it was terrible, by the way, the worst game I've ever written.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Manna then. And for those that don't know, can you give us a little bit of an overview about the company?
Yes, I mean, Manna Drone Delivery is the official name of the company. And for those that don't know what the word means, half people do, half don't. Manna is a biblical term from where God apparently sent food to, I think it was the Israelites when there was a famine, and it was food from heaven sent by birds. And I wouldn't be a religious person at all, but I thought that was a great name for drone delivery of food, right? And so the idea is very simple. It's scalable, reliable, quiet, green, efficient, fast, you name it, way to transport goods around suburban communities. And so we are delivery as a service, and delivery of the obvious things. Takeaway food is what most people think about. Prescription medicines, another one. But really the killer app for drone delivery is perishable products like sort of hot coffee, takeaway food, those kinds of things. And we've been 5 years operating commercially, delivering to real people in real scenarios for over 3 years.
Wow. I mean, collaboration, I guess, is quite an important aspect, certainly in the sort of technology industry. Can you share any notable partnerships or plans and collaborations that your company has had over the years and for the future?
Yeah, for sure. We essentially power local suburban businesses for local restaurants, local coffee shops, and so on. So most of your listeners won't have heard of most of the brands we partner with, but we also did do a deal with Coca-Cola, HBC, and in fact Coca-Cola HBC became an investor in the business at the end of 2022, and we have a strategic deal with them for over 30 markets. Similarly, we did a deal with Unilever for the Ben & Jerry's products, and we have a bunch of new, very large announcements that haven't gone public yet that will go in the coming weeks. And the way to think about us for people is we're 100% replacement for road-based delivery. So if you have drone
Mhm.
delivery, you don't need road-based delivery. You can fly in any weather. 97% of Irish weather, which means pretty much, you could fly on Mars. Um, and so you'll expect to see Manna as a delivery service replacing every last mile solution. And that means that we'll be powering all of the big brands. We had a partnership, as you know, and we still do with Tesco for grocery delivery. And we'd expect now as we grow across Europe, particularly, to start expanding those partnerships to pretty much every retailer of importance in every suburban community, initially in Europe, and then we are live in the USA as well. And hopefully for those UK listeners, we'll be live in the UK sometime this year as well.
Fascinating, and I guess it's a challenge, I guess, that all drone related companies will have around sort of the concerns with privacy and regulatory issues around the drone usage. Well, what sort of steps
Yeah,
does your company take for that?
yeah, for sure. It's funny. It's such an emotive space, drone delivery, because so many people have so many perceptions, whether positive or negative, about what we do.
Mhm.
And the word drone is a bad word up to now, for sure. I mean, they've featured in all the wrong places, and they've been used and abused for invading privacy, both by personal people, by police forces, you name it. And so, drone as a technology is just a technology, right? And how you apply it and how you use it can be for good reasons in one person's view of the world, and those reasons are bad in others. Like, witness what they've done with drones in China, really invading privacy. And in reality, commercial operators in the modern world are regulated by aviation regulators and also by simple things like Europe and privacy rules and things like that. So the truth is that a company like ours that's regulated and licensed by an aviation regulator has no legal right for invading privacy and wouldn't do it anyway, as a point of principle, but it's also a point of law. So we have no customer data. We have absolutely no videos or photos of our customers that we can take from the
Mm.
aircraft. No possibility to do that. We don't even know your phone number or your email address when you do business with us. We know a GPS coordinate where we start flying, and we know GPS coordinate where
Yeah.
we deliver. And that is the data we have. So, people are rightfully concerned. And when you ask them about what their concerns are about drone delivery, top one is actually noise. Second one is privacy. Third one, believe it or not, is job loss. And then the fourth one is safety, if you stack rank them. And so there's no issue with privacy. We don't have any data or record or view any private information or people. Noise is not an issue either, believe it or not. And we fly high enough that you can't hear us when we fly overhead. When we come into the descent, we've got an unusual industrial style aircraft that's designed to be quiet. So we have no noise complaints whatsoever. And we've been operating 3 years and done 170,000 flights now. Um, and our other peers in the industry, like Google, have a drone delivery program. Have done, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of flights now, actually, and have a handful of complaints. So we know that there's a lot of perceived issues that are valid
Yeah.
perception mistakes, I would say. But that once we roll out, as we enter town and people actually witness the service, it turns out it's not a big deal after all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting, those concerns, and I guess a lot of people will be welcoming those responses. On one of those points, I can't remember what number it was on the job losses. How do you foresee that? Is it actually an industry where you actually see jobs being created?
Yeah, look, any technology, disruptive technology, often comes with a fear of direct
Mm.
job losses, right? So if I, with a drone, replace a delivery driver, that's a job loss. Of course it is.
Yeah,
But the truth is, if you give a local restaurant or local coffee shop or local retailer fruit and veg or meat or whatever it is in a suburban community, if you give them access to 150,000 customers with a 3-minute delivery promise, and you do
yeah,
that in a way that's affordable for them, that just transforms that small local business. And the local bookshop that we power has a better product than Amazon has. So you transform
wow,
customers with good logistics, customers to us being vendors. And that in turn, if the local restaurants thrive because they have a really steady delivery business 7 days of the week, that's a business that creates jobs and creates livelihoods for people where in an industry that's really difficult to make work. So for sure we displace delivery drivers, but look at that job on the surface. It's usually young people, students quite often on
Hmm.
bikes, motorbikes, cars,
Yeah.
racing through the streets in the dark, in the rain. I wouldn't want any of my children doing that job. And I know it's a good livelihood, it's good income for a lot of people, of course, but net we're going to create an enormous amount of jobs, and we're going to take dangerous jobs
Yeah.
off the roads, and that's net a very good thing.
Yeah, positive game changer for sure. How do you envision the integration of these drones into various different industries within the sort of the next 5-10 years? And have you, or has your company got your eyes on a certain role to play in all of that?
I mean, I think primarily the easy and obvious industries that we think about are perishable products, so takeaway food, coffee, local
Yeah.
produce. The use cases that most people think about, not knowing about what the industry is like, they think about pharmacy delivery, they think about critical health service, those types of things, defibrillators, things like that. And yes, those are fantastic use cases for drone delivery. It'll do it better in nearly every way. But when you're rolling out an infrastructure, when you're providing an infrastructure to a population, and that's the way to look at us, is an infrastructure is capex heavy, it's operationally very expensive to start off, all of that. For any infrastructure, you need volume, you need frequency, you need utilization of that
Mhm.
infrastructure. And in order to underpin high utilization for, piece of capital, you need a lot of customers and you need a lot of frequency. And so you have to start with use cases that power that provide that volume, that demand, given whatever the population density. So particularly, you need to look at suburbs differently than dense urban areas like London. A suburb doesn't have the population density on its own to support a low volume, low utilization product like pharmacy delivery. So therefore, you underpin the infrastructure with very important everyday use cases like grocery, coffee, perishables, and that pays for the infrastructure and makes it profitable. And then you can layer on other socially more important use cases like medicine delivery. We already have a defibrillator delivery as an example, but that
Yeah.
wouldn't exist if we didn't also have coffee delivery making the infrastructure work, right? So that's the way to think about it. It's kind of layered utilization, and you build then other use cases afterwards.
Yeah, interesting. When we talk about innovation and research and development of a company, and yours in particular, then with the drone technology sector, are there any advancements that you're particularly excited about? How do you go about doing it? Is it you all sit around a table, discuss these ideas, and you create a roadmap? How does it all happen?
Um, it's funny, the obvious new tech that you would think of in, now is LLM,
Yeah.
right? AI, artificial general intelligence, LLMs, those kind of things. And as a technologist, that I get very excited about that, and I'm straight away thinking of ways to, not necessarily for Manna, but ways for humankind to be turbocharged with this new technology. And as a company, we see AI and LLMs empower our
Mm,
programmers, our marketing people, everyone to go faster, do more with the same, amount of hours in the day. Even myself, I mean, I'm reviewing a legal contract and I stuff it into an LLM and say,
yeah.
summarize that for me and tell me why that's different than what we said on this email, like stuff like that. So I think, the human race is going to be more productive as a result of this technology. But does it apply to drone delivery? No, because it's a funny problem that drone delivery had. Drone delivery is aerospace and aviation, and we're regulated by aviation regulators. So the same people that look at an Airbus A320 look at our drone and look at our operation. And so non-deterministic or probabilistic technologies like LLMs, where you don't know what the output will be based on any given input, it's random. A lot of the time it's guessing and it's hallucinating. You'd never get that regulated. So you wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to use that technology in our world. But the tech that does get me excited is a little more boring,
Hmm.
is battery tech. And what's enabled our industry has been solid state sensors, MEMS sensors, so gyros, accelerometers, things like that that can go on the circuit board that allow our CPU or IMU to detect which way the aircraft is flying and to power electric motors to do control in high winds, right? That's very, very boring, but that came from the mobile phone revolution. And at the same time, with the mobile phone revolution came really good GPU, which we use on board as well for analyzing LiDAR data for safety. And then more importantly, it's powered the lithium ion optimization and high scale manufacturing for batteries. And where we get really excited is now you have large scale manufacturing and very low cost of batteries coupled with high longevity. So lots of cycles on the same batteries, which reduce our costs and make us viable. But if you look at the next 5 to 10 years, solid state batteries will have the promise, and actually it's not even a promise now, it's deliverable of going from 200 watt hours per kilo to 300 or 400 watt hours per kilo in terms of energy density. And what that translates to us is longer range, heavier packages, harder weather we can fly in, and we get all that for free. Like literally, as that industry evolves and improves, that goes straight to our capability bottom line. So we get a free ride in inverted commas from any advances in the battery industry.
I love the pun. Love the pun. In terms of market expansion, yeah, I did. Yeah. In terms of market expansion, are there any specific regions that you're maybe not in now that you want to be in, or that you're going to be in, or that you see certain areas where you're going to have better growth than others? Does that change all the time?
Yeah, we've always had the USA as our key target market, and that is the market that is the most exciting. It's 10 times what the value of the European market is, and that's just the way it is. I should say the EU market, not the European market. But the EU market is where regulations are fully baked and written into law as of beginning of 2023. So we have now an EU-wide license, so we're ready to go. But if I look at the markets that are most attractive, actually in Europe, UK is the market that's the most attractive. There's more deliveries per household annually in the UK than there are in the rest of Europe rolled up times 2. So the UK is a delivery, it's a glutton for delivery. And so for our type of business, it's the Goldilocks in Europe. Regulations are not ready yet in the UK for obvious reasons, but we're very hopeful that we did a flight or a project in the UK last summer, and we are very hopeful to begin a launch in the UK this year, 2024. And it'll be dependent on the ability for us to meet the regulatory standards and the existence of those regulatory standards. Further afield, the USA, we're operating now in Texas. We've been operating since last October. It's going very well. We've a sensational result there, better even take up than we have in Europe. And while that's great news, we still need to wait for certain regulatory frameworks to be in place, particularly around airspace management in the USA before it becomes available for scaling. And our estimation at that time, it's another year, maybe 18, 24 months even before that happens in USA. And we'll be in a position where we'll already have done a lot of scaling in Europe, and we'll be the most ready to scale in the USA when that market opens up.
Fantastic. Last few questions, and this one's a little bit of a random one that I just thought of. Do you reckon that there's a chance that with the increased number of drone deliveries, the better it gets, the more common it gets, that you could even have people that maybe wanted to live further out into the sticks, the suburbs, but they were always like, it's just too far away from everything. If I want to go, do you reckon that there could be like a long-term play with people to say, I'm going now?
We already get construction companies asking us to bring drone delivery and offering to fund us bringing drone delivery to their site so that they can put that on the box. And if you look at where we're flying in Texas, we partnered with a company called Alliance Texas that have 26,000 acres of their own properties. They're a construction company. And they brought us to the USA so that they could say that every house they sell comes with drone delivery. It's as important as having broadband to a house. So you're 100% right. If you are choosing between a home that has access to drone delivery versus a home that doesn't, it is a factor. And we're an infrastructure, we're a service just
Yeah.
like broadband or mobile phone. And it'll be a better way of living if you can get everything you need delivered within 3 minutes, no matter what the weather, no matter what day or time of day it is. So yeah, it's a big plus.
Yeah, game changer. Next question. Obviously, you don't have to answer this one. You're a private company. Do you have plans to sort of go public at some point? Is that something you're considering?
If any founder in a business space as big as drone delivery didn't
Mhm.
have a plan to go public, I would say there's something
Yeah.
wrong with their heads. Um, there's 5 billion. There's 5 billion food deliveries a year just from the top four delivery companies. So
Yeah, yeah.
DoorDash, Uber Eats, Just Eat, Delivery Hero. 5 billion growing at 15%. And it's an absolutely gigantic market that is underserved, right? So the TAM, the total addressable market for our space, is
Mm.
stratospherically large. We can impact every single suburban household on the planet and have a meaningful and frequent relationship with that household. So the market is so ginormous that the only way to be a winner and really have a dominant position in the market is to be a
Mhm.
public company, because the capital that you're going to need to scale into that size of market is just going to be so huge. And then the other aspect of being a public company is drone delivery is something that resonates. Everyone on the
Yeah.
planet knows about drone delivery. So there's a personal connection for everybody with drone delivery. Whether you like it or don't like it, the majority
Yeah.
of people love it. So there's a lot of tailwind in terms of automatic recognition, understanding of the business model that would justify it becoming a public company quite quickly. Now, we're not ready as a team, nor as a capital base, nor as a revenue base. We
Mhm.
don't deserve to be a public company, but 100% our ambition as a team is to grow so fast and to get to that point as quickly as we can to make the company public.
Fantastic. Watch this airspace. Final question, Bobby. You're a serial entrepreneur. Do you see yourself going down any route, later on in your life? Have you got any ideas that you would like to, put into place, whether that be separate companies or
Yeah,
anything like that?
I mean, I'm a big believer in founders being able to do a few things at once. But for something as
Yeah.
complex as Manna, I think it needs quite a number of years to get. Like, I'm running this 5 years now, and I think conservatively it'll take at least another 5 years for this business to be independent of its founder. And so it needs a lot of care. It's a high
Hmm.
energy, 7 day a week type business. So I definitely think of a lot of ideas, and I've done a lot of angel investing and seed investing personally. But right now, 100% of my headspace is building this company. I do have some other side bets, particularly in the travel technology space where I came from. In fact, I co-founded and invested in a competitor to
Yeah.
my previous business, Car Trawler. So I do have other, uh, buns in the oven or pokers in the fire, but a business like mine is just too complex, and it's just too much management, and it will be for quite some time. So as many ideas as I have to unfortunately decline them.
Put them a hold for now. Bobby, it's
Yeah,
been fantastic to have you on Conversations with Leaders. Thank you very much.
you're very welcome. It was a pleasure, Sam.